Uh, Nicholas Moreano had the pleasure to be in rainy, cold Cleveland today covering a spectacular Bears loss. Nick, I don't know, man. Just give us, before we get into the locker room, just your take, your view from the press box, how you took this one in, because it was a crazy, wild one, and unfortunately the Bears on the wrong side again.
Yeah, it was a Bears game, right? You guys, it really was. It keeps you entertained all the way through the end and until the final play where you think the Bears legitimately have a shot to win on that Hail Mary. But it was just a Bears team that couldn't capitalize off of a great defensive performance for really, I would say, 3 quarters. And then the fourth quarter, there were some explosive plays, but the offense just did not come to play today. And what I don't, and you guys are kind of talking about it, like this Browns defense had given up points, and Matt Eberflus goes on to talk about, well, was asked about like why the offense wasn't there. He's like, credit the defense; they have good players, can get pressure. It's like, but other teams have had success. So it was just really disappointing from the offensive performance. There are obviously missed plays. You think of the Robert Tonyan touchdown, and that should have been but wasn't, and just overall execution. There was no, and I get it from them. They did not want to attack the interior of this Browns defense when it came to short yardage plays, but the things on the perimeter weren't working either. So it was interesting just to kind of watch how they game planned it and things like that. But ultimately, a very disappointing loss and a very disappointing locker room, you guys.
Richard Budnick, $5 super chat, is asking you to drive down to Columbus because he needs a drinking buddy right now.
Wow, I've been pretty good this week with not having any drinks, but after this game, I think, just shoot me where you're at. We can maybe make this happen before I have to get in a fight in about like 2 hours. So that might complicate things.
Yeah, I don't know how you get to Columbus and back to Cleveland to get on your flight in 2 hours, but also in general, I recommend people stay out of Columbus, but that's just my personal.
I think you should cancel your flight, go to Columbus, be with Bud Nick, and report back how it went.
Nick, one quick question again before you get to the locker room and something we've been talking about, because you talk about the Robert Tonyan drop. Obviously, Darnell Mooney drops the touchdown, a Hail Mary. But there were other drops. Tyler Scott right before that trying to get into field goal range. Luke Getsy has some questionable play calls. And then once you start to kind of get in the weeds of what went wrong on offense, it sounds like you're making excuses for Justin Fields. Do you think that Justin Fields played well enough to win this game?
It's a good question, Greg, and I think obviously the one touchdown they got offensively was all because of him, but there were opportunities dropped, but he also put the ball in some dangerous spots. He didn't lose the fumble, but he put the ball on the ground on a sack. You know what? To be completely honest, Greg, I would need to definitely rewatch it. I came away from this game just wondering, like, how I know Tevin Jenkins went down, but the Browns are down some players on their defensive line, yet there's pressure on, consistently on Justin Fields. He doesn't have time to drop back and really able to deliver the ball the way he wants to. There was one play where he's talking to where he had an opportunity with Darnell Mooney. They had talked previously about how now Mooney was going to do an inside release on a certain play, but because of the pressure, Fields almost had to guess where to throw it because he didn't have time to execute the play to its entirety. So I think right now I would say yes, he did play well enough to win this game, but there's definitely opportunity. It's a Justin Fields roller coaster that we've been riding all season where, he makes a spectacular play, he puts the ball in jeopardy, and, we just go through this entire cycle.
By the way, real quick, before this thought leaves my head, the Bears running backs have been terrible blocking lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's gotten worse since David Walker got fired. I'm just pointing that out. And that's obviously there were reasons for that, and he should have been fired. But it's just that to me has been somewhat of an issue all season and has gotten worse. So I don't know if they're doing different drills or there's just not enough emphasis on it. I have no idea because we don't get enough time to watch practice this time of year. But just it's gotten considerably worse in my opinion. We saw your tweet. We read it earlier of what Justin Jones had to say about dropping back into coverage on that third down. I want to hear this from you because you were there. Because I think we were a little confused on perhaps the tone of how he was talking about it. Carm was worried that he was kind of calling out the coaching. I don't practice that enough. Or do you think he was just sort of defending himself and pointing out, hey, that's not something I practice a lot, dropping back in the car. How did you read that since you were there?
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of both, you guys. And look, so he was pretty disappointed about that play. Being put in that situation, you can hear it in the tone of his voice, how he was talking about it. But for people who maybe didn't see this, he said, I'm just doing what the play call is. Maybe I could have seen him. And he's referring to the 3rd and 15 play. But there was another play where he actually had dropped back in coverage too, because that's what I asked him about. But maybe I could have seen him what he was doing. I probably could have got back a little bit more. I don't know. Probably play his lower hip in that route. Maybe got a PBU. I could have got a little deeper in my drop, set and under it or something. It's not what I practice. And that's what I was going to ask him, but he answered it there. So how many times do you practice? I couldn't tell you, brother. And then there's a little bit more that I asked him about. When I was talking to him about, did anything change defensively in the 4th quarter for you guys? Because that's where they kind of gave up 13 points. He first went to the 3rd and 15 play. He didn't even elaborate on anything else defensively. He said 3rd and 15 comes to mind, big play of the game. Got to call it better, got to play it better. That's all. So I think there is a little bit of a shot being thrown to, him just being put in that situation, and then also, just being overall disappointed in the play itself. But yeah, now after going, especially that last part, got to call it better because I didn't hear that, right when it was happening because then Eberflus went to the podium. But said, got to call it better, got to play it better. That's all.
You've been in a bunch of disappointed locker rooms this year, Nick. Is this number one?
This is number one, you guys, and it was really empty too. And by the time we were in there weren't many guys even talking at that point. But I think you could just feel the weight of this loss, given still what the season with 4 games at the time it could have been had they won this game. And I think the Bears for the most part thought they did have it. And it was weird hearing Darnell Mooney kind of talk like in the 3rd quarter. He said like the offense almost got, I think the exact word was comfortable with where they're at with the lead that they had, which was only, I think, 10 at that point. And with this team, how things have happened in the past, there's no way you could be comfortable as any player in that locker room. And Matt Eberflus was asked about that. Did you get a sense of that from your sideline? He didn't feel that way. Justin Fields was asked about that. He didn't feel that way either. Neither did Jaquan Brisker. If anything, Jaquan Brisker said, no, as a defense, we were disappointed. We only ended up with 3 turnovers. We should have had 4. So that was interesting that Darnell Mooney said that, but it definitely, going back to your question, Mark, yeah, this one hurt, and as it should, because I think there were a lot of plays left on the table for this Bears team, and they just couldn't execute to the best of their ability today.
Nick, we played a lot of Justin Fields, but not all of it. Did he happen in the rest of that press conference get asked about the 4th and 1 play where he was just barely tripped up by Cam Mitchell and just his view of it? Because that, to me, that ended up being the play of the game.
Yeah, so that's a play that Justin Fields actually really likes. That's what he said about the play. Again, he got tripped up. Likes that play call in that situation. He said if he were to kind of do it over again, he'd get as wide as possible to just kind of extend the play, try to get to that sideline there. But yeah, so he did say it was a play that they did like, and obviously, that was a hell of a play by the defender being able to trip up Justin Fields in open space. But it's a play they like, just got tripped up.
Did he say anything about throwing it or looking to throw it? Because I think, Carm, was it you who said that DJ Moore was wide open?
I didn't say that.
Bragg said that.
The idiot over here said
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. You want to come on, Jason?
Is it Leisure?
McKee.
J-Mac.
Adam Hogue's calling for you, man. Hogue's on there.
There he is.
Oh, J-Mac's. I know J-Mac's taking this loss hard.
You
That's
could have
Carm,
J-Mac
Greg,
blocking out there
Hogue.
today, man.
Go home and go to my hotel room and cry. Give me a 6-pack of Bud Lights. Kick back and drown in misery.
I feel you, J-Mac. Hey, Nick, tell him real quick. That we all wish he was blocking in the backfield today.
They said they wish you were blocking the backfield today, Jason.
What did he say? We can't hear him.
He said, I don't even know. Just I don't know.
Hey, let me tell you something about Jason McKee, who's doing a great job as the sideline reporter and analyst this year on the Bears radio network. He takes his losses hard still. Like he he really cares about this franchise. I mean, just coaching with him at Carmel this year, I don't know how many Mondays and Tuesdays we've had some tough, unfiltered conversations about this football team, especially early on in the season, those first 4 weeks.
Dudes that wore the uniform, they care about the uniform.
They do. Do not I'm not saying all of them do. I mean, there's certainly former players that go on to live the rest of their lives and maybe don't feel the same.
Jay Cutler doesn't give a shit that the Bears lost today, I promise you.
There's that. But Kyle Long's on Twitter.
I have no idea what just happened.
There's no way Jay watched this game today. Kyle Long, I know, is on Twitter after this game. He feels it. Like, guys like that, they care about the blue and the orange the rest of their lives. So, all right. Anyone else got anything for Nick here?
Yeah, Nick, just I want to hear what it was like being with Mooney, because that's a tough spot for him to talk, but he's very professional. We listened to it, but being there, I'm just curious if it felt like a guy who, was talking, but it's like almost like I can't wait till I am not in this situation wearing this uniform anymore.
No, I didn't get a sense of that, Mark. And, before we were allowed in the locker room, a couple of us were just kind of asking each other, do you think Mooney's even going to talk? And because he hasn't really been all too available this season, he has like one specific day throughout the week. But, credit to him. He was at his locker. Him and Fields were still talking. He was kind of simulating like what happened, at the end of the game with the Hail Mary attempt. But he spoke, and I don't think it was more so like, I have 3 more games, I'm out of here kind of thing. But he just kept reiterating it was just a tough catch to make, and he did sit down in the end zone afterwards, and just kind of was thinking like, man, it would have been crazy, just like, wow, if he would have been able to come up with that catch. But it didn't seem like he was kind of going through the motions, if that makes sense. He did feel like he was being honest with his responses, and ultimately it was just a tough play to make. They tried to get it to their biggest guy, which would be Cole Kmet, but if he wasn't falling, you said it definitely would have caught it, but obviously he was on the ground and just didn't end up making the catch.
Yeah, we didn't play Brisker, but anything that stood out from talking to Jaquan?
Yeah, so I talked about him being that sense of comfortability. He didn't feel that from the defense, but he was asked, how did they turn momentum later in that game? And I think it was interesting. He said extended plays from Joe Flacco and good plays from their OC. And when you think extended plays from any quarterback in this game, you would think Justin Fields would be the one creating those types of plays, but we didn't see that all too often. But he credited Joe Flacco for being able to do that and hit on some plays. And then on the Njoku touchdown, where Jaquan Brisker is right in his face, it was a great throw by Joe Flacco and a great catch by Njoku. He said that's a technique that he's actually being taught on that. If anything, he has to just punch through the football on there, and maybe that'll give him a better opportunity to break up that play. And then Mark Potash asked a good question about is this like a backbreaker, losing this game because of, everything that was still at stake for the Bears. And he said, for sure, no doubt. And then he highlighted again that 3rd and 15 play. That was a big play right there. So I know they say that, it's not just one play, but it feels like a lot of defenders are going back to this 3rd and 15 play and just how it didn't go in the Bears' favor.
Nick, we don't get to ask you this enough, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Gut feeling right now, I'm going to do a would you rather. Would you rather have Justin Fields, your current you have 2 top 5 picks right now, plus 3 first-round picks? So maybe you don't end up with 2 top 5 picks. Let's say they're 2 top 10 picks still.
This sounds confusing now.
Okay, let me restart. Scenario 1, you got Justin Fields still on the team next year.
What was confusing about the start of this question, but let's start it again. Go ahead.
You have Justin Fields for next year. You're getting 3 first-round picks in exchange for
the first overall pick.
Right? In the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, and then you still have
your 5th.
Your other first-round pick.
Right.
Okay.
Got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so would you rather have all that or Caleb Williams or Drake May, your other top 10 pick, and a 2nd and a 4th, which you would get for trading Justin Fields?
And to be completely fair, I have not watched my tape on enough of it on the other 2 prospects to know to give you the best answer. But
unlike Braggs' rules, you are allowed to change your opinion between now and the draft.
okay,
You are not locked into whatever you say right now.
I mean, I wonder, giving Fields even more talent around him, what you can still do with those draft picks. Like I said it before, I'm still a Fields guy. So even after this game, it is a little discouraging how it all played out. But I still would go that route at this point. But I would say I'm definitely becoming more open to the option of, hey, what happens if you do get, one of those two quarterbacks, whichever their preference is, and after I do my homework on them, I'll be able to give a better opinion on this. But I'm becoming more open to that option. But still, at this point, what's today's date? Let me make sure I got December 17th. I'm still rocking with the picks and Fields.
Well, the reason why I put you on the spot there is I still think this is not cut and dry. Like, and Nick, and maybe we can transition to some of this conversation after we let you go here, Nick, just in terms of these 7 general managers that all agreed on the same thing, that you let Justin Fields go. I just don't think it's that obvious. So anyway, Nick, great job out there in Cleveland. Get home safely, stay dry, and
or go to Columbus.
Or go to Columbus and hang out with Bud Nick. It's always a good option too. And then we'll have to hear what the Flus has to say tomorrow at Hallis Hall.
Sounds good, you guys. Have a great rest of your show.
Nick, don't drop your boarding pass before you get on the plane.
Did that happen to you, Mark?
No, it happened to Darnell Mooney, Nick.
Oh.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Nobody got that? I thought it was
I didn't get it at
funny.
all.
Not funny at all, Lawrence? Nah, okay, fine. Wasn't funny, Nick. Have a great flight.
We all silly like the mayor.